All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to break down one of the most debated assets in the entire crypto space, XRP. Is it really the future of global finance, or is it all just hype? We're going to get into the core investment thesis, straight from our source material, to figure out what the argument really is. Right out of the gate, our source calls XRP both polarizing and potent. And you know what? That's the perfect description. This was never just another coin trying to get attention. Its mission is massive, to try and rewire the entire global financial system. And that, right there, is why the stakes and the opinions are so incredibly high.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll get into what makes XRP so controversial. Then, we'll look at the enormous problem it was actually built to solve. After that, we'll explore the solution itself, the huge legal battle that almost stopped it in its tracks, and finally, take a look at what the future might just hold.
Okay, first things first, and this is super important. You just can't look at XRP the same way you look at Bitcoin. While most of the crypto market kind of moves in lockstep with Bitcoin's price, XRP marches to the beat of a completely different drum. Its value is tied to things like real-world utility, banking partnerships, and one thing above all else, legal clarity.
So what's that drumbeat all about? What was this whole ecosystem designed for anyway? Well, it's aimed squarely at a problem that's been hiding in plain sight for decades. The fact that sending money around the world is, honestly, still shockingly slow and crazy expensive. I mean, think about it. You try to send money to family or a friend overseas. Why on earth does it take like 3 days and cost an arm and a leg in fees? It's because the whole system is running on ancient, clunky infrastructure. This is the exact problem our source material says XRP was born to fix.
And that leads us right to XRP's core mission. This thing was never meant to be one of those speculative to-the-moon coins. Nope. From day one, it was designed as a pure utility, a very specific tool for a very specific job, fixing that broken payment system we just talked about.
The key idea here, the thing you really need to grasp, is this concept of a bridge currency. Think of it like a universal travel adapter, but for money. Instead of going through this messy, slow chain of banks to get from dollars to euros, you just zap your dollars into XRP, send it across the bridge, and it becomes euros on the other side. It connects any two currencies instantly.
And this is where that comparison to Bitcoin really clicks into place. Our source frames Bitcoin as digital gold, right? Something you buy and hold, hoping it goes up in value. XRP is the total opposite. It's all about speed and utility. It's not really meant to be held for long periods. It's meant to be used. It's the financial highway that money speeds across.
So, how does this actually work in the real world? Well, it's actually incredibly simple. A bank can take, say, $1 million US and, boom, convert it to XRP. That XRP flies across the network to anywhere in the world in about 3 seconds. And I mean 3 seconds. Then, boom, it's instantly converted into euros on the other end. The whole slow, clunky, expensive legacy system totally bypassed. Okay, but if the tech is so great, what's been holding it back? Why isn't it everywhere already? Well, this brings us to the absolute heart of the XRP saga, a long, brutal fight for regulatory clarity, especially here in the United States.
For years, this massive storm cloud of uncertainty just hung over everything. And you have to understand, for big money, for the big financial players, uncertainty is pure poison. If the rules aren't crystal clear, they just won't touch it. And that hesitation, well, it had a huge, huge impact. According to our sources, did 2 major things. First, it acted like a giant anchor chained to the price of the asset. The perceived risk was just way too high for most. And second, it kept the most important customers, the banks, the big institutions, sitting on the sidelines, just waiting for a green light that felt like it was never, ever gonna come. But the story doesn't just end there in legal purgatory. The entire narrative, the whole conversation around XRP is starting to shift. It really feels like after years of these legal battles, the landscape is finally changing.
Yeah, our source material really makes the case that the tide is genuinely turning here. We're not just talking about wishful thinking or market sentiment, we're seeing a fundamental change in the concrete factors that could actually unlock all that potential we talked about.
So, what are we seeing? Well, for one, the news headlines are changing. It's less about lawsuits and more about new partnerships and real-world adoption. Around the world, regulatory frameworks are actually starting to take shape, providing more clarity. And this is interesting. We're seeing signs that big money, the so-called whales, are quietly accumulating. Plus, you've just got a healthier crypto market in general, which tends to lift all boats. Now, to really get why this matters, you have to understand the sheer scale of the opportunity. Look at this. That little bar on the left, that's kind of where XRP is now. That massive, towering bar on the right, that represents the daily volume of the global SWIFT payments market. The entire bullish thesis for XRP boils down to this one picture. If XRP can capture even a tiny fraction of that market, I mean, just a sliver, the demand for it as a utility would have to go absolutely parabolic.
So when you strip everything else away, what is the ultimate bet you're making with something like XRP? The thesis we're exploring suggests it's not really a bet on a single coin. It's a bet on a fundamental upgrade to the very plumbing of global finance.
It really all comes down to this. If you believe that the way we move money today is outdated, too slow, too expensive, and is absolutely destined to be modernized, then you get the core argument for XRP. Its entire reason for existing is to be a part of that inevitable upgrade. And our source material leaves us with this really powerful final image. A new bridge is being built, connecting the old traditional financial world with the new digital economy. In this vision, XRP isn't the bridge itself. It's something even more crucial. It's the toll booth, the efficient, fast, indispensable toll booth that makes every single crossing on that bridge possible.
And so that brings us back to the ultimate question, doesn't it? Is this the future of finance? Look, that debate is far from over, but now at least you understand the core thesis. From here, the story is yours to follow.